Welcome again to the debate circle. I'm your host, Sky Mbura, and we'll be having the motion of recent reforms in the education sector are already bearing fruit and should be maintained. Our proposers will be Mukaa boys, and our opposers will be Machakos School. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
Educational reform. Ever wondered what educational reforms are? Don't worry, don't panic, I got you. So educational reforms, it states, this is the process of constantly restructuring the educational standards to reflect the ever-evolving contemporary ideas of education. Hailing from the great Mukaa school, where our ambitions and aspirations are as young as our vision, sit back as I take you through this quest to determine the truth of the moment. Thank you. I propose that the recent educational reforms have satisfied bearing fruits and should be maintained. Over the past 3 years, as recorded by the Kenya National Examination Council, we've seen our brothers and sisters evolving to the next educational level. Yes, going to the secondary educations. You had me right, 100% transition. This is what I'm talking about. This is one of the educational reforms that have taken place in order to ensure that things are on the content of going on properly. And sisters, making forward matters, if you look at this perspective from a while ago, 22 years ago, the educational reforms were not as they are as of now. There was the 7423 system, where some of the people went to the next level while others did not go to the next level. But yeah, we all make mistakes and we have room for change. That's what they say. You know, in this 21st century, technology and skills is an evolving process and we need to adapt to that. As they say, change is inevitable. And we need to have change in our hands and minds so as to enable us to fulfill the desired perception of what is going on. Apart from educational reforms, 100% transition, which we have talking about, there's also free education. This has enabled the less privileged people in the society to enable them to seek a higher educational level. And that's why I'm saying that educational reforms are a broad and consistent move that need to be upheld. I, as a proposer, that educational reforms must be taken into consideration to help us broaden our understanding about educational reforms. Thank you.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes.
Recent reforms in the education sector are already bearing fruits and should be maintained. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Daniel William of Machakos School, think that that's a big lie. It's a lie. When you're talking about reforms, you're talking about change that is made to a social system, an organization, etc., in order to improve something or correct it. The education sector is a particular sector in the economy of a country that is specifically connected to education, matters education. And what is to maintain? Maintaining is making something continue at the same level. Why do you have to say that these reforms have to be maintained? Why do you have to risk yourself? Look, you're saying that the reforms are already bearing fruits. Well, fine. But there are also drawbacks that come with it. First, we have the inadequate preparation of teachers through retraining them. In the context of the CBC, the competency-based curriculum, you find that there is need to retrain the teachers. There is need to teach them on how to teach. They have to learn to teach the second time. I accept that the government is doing its part in taking part in playing the role of helping the teachers train. But look, what about these junior secondary school teachers? They have been trained maybe to be focusing on only 2 subjects as normally, biology, chemistry, but now they have many other subjects that they have to introduce and teach to the students. There is also failure to agree on the placement of these junior secondary schools. Then you find that the primary schools, the previous primary schools that the students were in, have to make way to host these junior secondary schools while they were not prepared. Then you expect to come and convince us that they are bearing fruits. What kind of fruits? That's a question. Look, there's something called standardization and assessment of performance. Look, this CBC is majorly based on personalized learning approach and the subject mastery, irrespective of the place, time, and pathway to completion. But now here comes the question: how will we assess the performance of these students? Look, how do you measure each student for every performance outcome? Tell me. Because all they have to do is to go there and show that they really got the hands-on skills. I don't refuse. They are good, they are helpful in self-employment and stuff like that. But here, how do we identify opportunities for learners to demonstrate individualized subject mastery without adhering to the standardization? And if this be the case, how will the assessing of the performance take place? And will it vary from individual institution to another? That's food for thought. I rest my case.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, once said, Rome was not built in a day. My dear opposer has stated that the inadequate preparation of teachers is leading to an unfinished, or rather, an incomplete system. But let me remind you, CBC is an ongoing process, or rather, the educational reforms are an ongoing process. We cannot expect to teach all teachers in Kenya the new reforms in less than a few years. We are not superhuman. We are just human. We have limits. Therefore, we need to take those into account. But on to my point. The great Malcolm X once said, education is the passport to the future, and the future is for those who prepare for it today. We must all be very familiar with this, but if not, then let me help you. Adrian Samuel from the great Mukaa school here to propose this motion. Recent reforms are bearing fruit and should be maintained. The educational reforms are nothing foreign in our country and are quite numerous, but I wish to emphasize on the giant among them, introduction of the competency-based curriculum. Yes, you heard me right. The competency-based curriculum. The curriculum behind the educational sector in some of the superpower countries, such as the United States, France, and Canada, as well as some of our African countries, such as Mozambique and Tanzania. In 2017, when the then government, under the former president, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, introduced this curriculum, it was met with a lot of skeptical and a lot of criticism. But now, 7 years down the line, we can confidently say that the fruits have begun to bear. What fruits, you may be asking? First, the CBC teaches learners digital literacy. Digital literacy is an individual's ability to find, evaluate, and communicate information by utilizing typing and digital media platforms. We are in the digital era, and it is paramount that we equip the next generation with computer literate skills. If you think about it, everything is digital. E-learning, e-commerce, IT, e-banking. The CBC offers students early exposures to computers and electronic gadgets right from pre-primary all the way to university. The CBC firmly gives and utilizes the necessary resources so that our students are well versed and well knowledgeable in the handling of these electronic devices. After firmly grasping digital literacy, a host of job opportunities are open to them, such as software engineering, software development, system operation and administration, which are highly sought after and highly paying jobs in the digital world. A good example of such computer geniuses are the Tesla CEO, Elon Musk, who, fun fact, grew up in South Africa. Guess what system they use in South Africa? CBC. I rest my case.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes.
From the mighty Machakos school, Victor Gitonga is here to firmly oppose the motion that states that recent reforms in education are already bearing fruits and should be maintained. First, let me correct the first proposer when he said that free education has been provided. Well, I would like to advise him to stop being outdated, because recently the government removed funds from the university students, raising their school fees. And secondly, if the recent reforms are a process, then why should you implement it at once instead of giving it time to mature, instead of making the country to cope up with a pace that it cannot? And that you said that the students are they can manage their time with the technology. Well, how well do you know that? Well, I have only one statement to say, that the earlier the exposure, the earlier the addiction. Now, no one refuses that the recent educations, they have fruits. No one does. But they are bitter fruits. And why do I say this? First, it has led to increased workload for teachers. This is because there are inadequate manpower. Now, this is a fact that the government has posted two teachers to junior schools and have to teach all subjects regardless of whether they are trained or not. Now, if a teacher, as my first opposer said, if a teacher has been trained to teach 2 subjects, then take a case, physics and chemistry, then how is such a teacher expected to teach subjects like the pre-technical studies, integrated science, social studies, business studies, among many? Number 2, the recent reforms have caused an overstretch in resources and facilities. Take a case, in the year 2021, in the 2nd August 2021, 647 Form 1 students reported to Machakos School, a number that has not been seen. Now, this led to overstretching of resources since the school did not have enough laboratories to accumulate such a big number, let alone the dormitories there were no enough dormitories. This led to students sleeping in classrooms, students sleeping in the assembly halls, and further alone, some students did not even get their mattress, their beds. Now, increase the overpopulation or the overcrowding of students in schools. This has led to delay in syllabus coverage. What has this led to? That students will be forced to, that the teachers will be forced to hasten the process of finishing the syllabus, and according to People Daily, as a result of the 100% transition implemented by the government, it has led to an increased number of E's or poor performance in schools that usually performed very well. Now, I advise you as my fellow audience to join me in this side to oppose that the fruits that are brought about by the recent reforms are bitter fruits and that they should not be maintained.
Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Yes. Wise people learn from both the mistakes and the wise choices of others. In my case, we look at the wise choices. Feast your eyes upon a proud alumni of the Mukaa school, Isaac Makata. Now, the education system, what are the aims of the education reforms that are taking place? The government aims on many things, such as providence of many services to learners, that is books, health insurance, and even the chemicals that we use in our laboratories. And my personal favorite is it aims in development of new strategies in improving our education sectors. Now, I'd like to emphasize on a point that my fellow proposer, Samuel Mwema, had said before about the funding. It is not only in the primary sector, but we also see that in the past, our elders, people like our parents, our guardians, they all tell us one story, that in the past, there was no money. Only the rich made it to the universities. But nowadays, thanks to these reforms, we see that it is not only the university students. We have the HELB loans that are provided to not only the university students, but nowadays even to the college students, even to the TVET students. And even on the point of funding, in the past, we hear that there were no medical facilities. Nowadays, there are. And even if so, would students have the ability to access them? No. But nowadays, look at this. We have, for example, me, I'm an asthmatic. I can just go to any medical facility, a clinic, dispensary or a level 5 hospital like the Machakos level 5 and just present my name is, and I will be provided with the necessary health services. Now, one of my points is that something that our grown-ups, teachers, and also guardians aim for us to have is a good future, not only through education, but even if it's skill and talent. Now, for example, I'll take the CBC. It has a wide variety. It gives learners, young people, a wide variety of choices, even if, well, I'll say this, the world is a cruel place. It is very cruel. Now, what if someone maybe fails in the examination? During that entire period that they have used in the education, they might have acquired skills, a talent, a passion for something, which they can apply out there, and it will help them. Like, we all know the story of Bill Gates, dropped out, went and pursued, he and his friend. They all pursued something that they wanted. So, my friends, it is through intervention of great minds and our able government that we see that education reforms bearing fruit and continue to do so. And I leave you with this. Intervention brings change, and change is inevitable. I rest my case. Thank you.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes.
My. How the cat has not gotten out of the bag. Well, mind me to get the cat out of the bag for you. General Mambura, standing before you, here to oppose the motion that states recent reforms in the education sector are already bearing fruits and should be maintained. Well, for starters, one thing that I do believe is that it is expensive to maintain. Well, moreover, let me take the CBC, the competence-based curriculum, for example. It has become a financial burden to parents such that it has brought about that parents are not ready for the change that is the competence-based curriculum. We have the introduction of digital literacy in the competence-based curriculum, but how expensive it is in the northeastern region. Have you tried considering that? In the northeastern region, it is do believed that in a case study by the World Bank that efforts to provide remote learning revealed a significant digital divide, with over 50% of students being left off, mainly due to lack of devices, access to electricity, and internet connection. Well, doesn't that bring about the inequality in our country, the inequality in education? The competence-based curriculum on its own being a recent reform, it does not bring food to the table in that. Even the President, William Ruto, in September 13, 2022, the William Ruto pledges to make considerable changes to the CBC, an effort to ease anxiety among parents who remain skeptical about the syllabus on 13 September 2022, according to the People's Daily. If even the president can acknowledge the financial burden that is imposed on the parents of our country, in our parents, more rather, then shouldn't it be taken away? Moreover, I do believe that also the NEC, the Kenya National Examination Council, its reforms have proved to be a total failure. I'm sure you might be asking, why, Jerome, has this proved a bad change in the society? Well, for example, we have examination malpractice. In examination malpractice, a case study done in the year 2022 last year was found out that the students, there was exam leakage, there was the use of telegrams so as to communicate in to communicate on the examinations. Well, if that is true, if that is the case, then I do believe that these changes are meant to be removed. Thank you.
For closing remarks, proposition, you have 1 minute.
My opposers dare say that the educational reforms have brought no change. Ha! That is a straight up lie. As the final opposer has stated, that these educational reforms have proved a total failure. But let me enlighten you. A case study by the World Bank has showed that Kenya's implementation of the CBC curriculum is among the top in the whole Africa. Meaning, though we might not be perfect, though there are challenges, though there are setbacks, does that mean we stop trying? Do we just throw in the towel and say, oh well, we tried? No. No. We keep trying. Sure, there are complications. Sure, there are troubles. But aren't there always troubles? Albert Einstein once said, he who has never made a mistake has never dared to try something new. So, on that basis, let us not judge CBC and all the other educational reforms just because they have a few challenges. Everything has challenges. Inadequate preparation of teachers. Thank you.
Position, you have 1 minute.
Now, if ours is a straight up lie, then I do not know what to call yours. Because according to I would like to correct that proposal, that NAMIS, which is the National Educational Management Information System, provides funds to students and does not. What caters for the health of the students is EduAfya, a branch of the NHIF to cater for the health of students. And to offer my closing remarks. Now, shall we as students, will we take in seeing our parents scratch their heads day in, day out because of a system that has been implemented by a government, and a government that does not even provide enough help? It provides little help. For example, will a system step in to buy a student a laptop? Will the government step in to provide the basic necessities that a teacher requires? Let it be known that the current reform by the name CBC, the competency-based curriculum, it is a day in, day out process. Today the teacher will require this, tomorrow he will require a different one. Now, does the government help in this? Now, join me in this side to oppose and to say that and to bring an end to these reforms. Gratitude.
Right, I want to appreciate the two teams. This was quite a fight, and I think from the judges' table, we almost had even a difference here, and so the difference is at the 0 points. So we want to appreciate that you two are commendable teams, all right? Nonetheless, we have to say a few things of what we noticed. We're talking about these reforms in the education sector. Please note this. When you talk about recent cannot be when it was in the 1960s or 70s, right? Yeah, recent is something that is just nearby. So you can't give examples of those years and then we're wondering, you're calling this recent. I think probably I would say give examples of things that happened in your lifetime. That would be a bit better. When you're there giving the 1970s, I would wonder how that recent is. So these reforms in the education sector are already bearing fruit. So Mukaa is supposed to tell us that we have really seen amazing things. So Samuel comes in, define terms, gets marks out of that, gives us a good history, okay? Which was a good history that he gave us. You're a good speaker, underutilized time, penalized on that. Samuel comes in and Samuel, I think you're outstanding. That was very commendable. I think you're a very strong speaker. Good cross-examination. You brought in the element that CBC is an ongoing process, so we have not arrived, which was a good argument in terms of cross-examining. Good speaker, good examples, good ending as well. I know time was on your end, but it was a good way of ending as well. Isaac, university is no longer a reserve of the rich. You brought those particular examples that these are reforms that have come in. So you're a good speaker as well, good reasoning. However, when we talk about debate, it must be based on factual evidence, all right? So I was waiting for you to say according to, and there's so many examples. The Daily Nation has reported this. All those, you've been doing that research, is it? So sometimes when you give those examples, you're unbeatable. I didn't get those particular citations. Machakos comes in as well. Daniel comes and gives his start, failures to agree on placements, good questioning as well, and you spoke about how this is not working. Victor, cross-examination as well was good reasoning as well. Jerome, I think that's the name, right, Jerome, yes. And you bring in and say, parents are not ready, it's expensive, but the question is according to who? Citations as well is needed, all right? And Jerome, I still also said you could probably also work on your delivery so it's not monotonous. When it's becoming tough, you want as well to bring your element out. I can't wait for how these results stand out, but they're very close.
I would really love to see both teams again on stage. At least now I feel we are debating. Samuel Mwema, you have good language mastery. Though you didn't define everything that we wanted to hear about the bearing fruit, that one is a key part of the motion. CBC is not the only thing. That is something that is coming out in both teams. Samuel Adrian, I would say you are outstanding. That is quite good. A powerful introduction, good cross-examination, good language mastery. You look sure of what you are saying. Isaac, again, you made good use of illustrations, but if only you can reduce the reading, you would look more sure of what you are saying. Machakos School, Daniel Williams, proper definition of terms was made, and I wish you can look for a way of connecting more with your audience so that we can really feel you. But you did your part well apart from that issue. Victor Gitonga, proper cross-examination, good English mastery. You are passionate and I really like what I heard. Jerome Ambura, very good arguments, well explained, only that I wish you add some passion. Look like you are really with us. You would not tell us who did the 2022 case study, and we need to actually be part of the information. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you judges for those remarks. And now for the result, we have 67.7 and 67.5. For Machakos School, with 67.5, let's give them a round of applause. And for the winners, Mukaa with 67.7. Congratulations, both teams, on participating. We're very grateful. For more of this content, you can find us on YouTube, Thread, Twitter, and Instagram at The Debate Circle. Goodbye.